Hi and welcome to SCW here on YouTube.com. Thank you for choosing the channel and choosing the video. Please subscribe right now. Leave any comments in the comment section. Please like and share the video as well. Bound for Glory 2020 is this Saturday, and I'm going to give you all the matches and give you my thoughts and predictions on them as well. I think it's looking to be a pretty solid card overall. Many exciting matches have been put together, and I think quite a few of them are quite unpredictable as well, which obviously emphasizes on my excitement for the show. Of course, I'm going to go through things match by match, give my picks, and then what I want you to do at the end of the video is to leave your predictions in the comments below. I do look forward to interacting with you here on YouTube. But let's go straight into it then, and let's talk about Ken Shamrock, shall we? Because it's going to be a big weekend for Ken Shamrock, of course. He is going to be going into the Impact Hall of Fame now, of course. He was the NWA champion, the first champion in TNA history back in 2002, so this is a very noteworthy and, of course, well-deserved spot in the Hall of Fame for Ken Shamrock. Of course, he's had a stellar career going over a good couple of decades as well, still going today as well. He'll have a match against Eddie Edwards. He's probably best known for his work back in WWE in the Attitude Era, of course, with great matches along the likes of The Rock, and of course The Rock will be featured in a video package to induct Ken Shamrock into the Hall of Fame, which I think is absolutely massive. That will attract some more eyeballs to this show here on Bound for Glory, because you know, The Rock is a big superstar name, of course, and he's only really been featured with WWE in the past. Just the fact that he's going to have a video clip here, of course Impact will be showing it. They would be stupid not to, and I think some people, just hearing The Rock's name mentioned in any capacity, knowing Ken Shamrock perhaps from the Attitude Era, I think that this has got a chance to bring some new eyes to this. Whether there perhaps maybe some older eyes potentially could be the case, but still, I think this is quite exciting, and I'm looking forward to seeing, hopefully, that this pay-per-view and Impact gets a bit of a bump from having this inclusion, this Hall of Fame ceremony as part of the Bound for Glory weekend. But of course, Ken Shamrock does have a match. Ken Shamrock has been quite cool recently with his, he's gone back to this World Dangerous Man. He's kind of gone heel. He's been listening to Sami Callihan, who's been in his corner, and we've just seen this psycho, this maniac come back out of Ken Shamrock that we haven't seen for quite some time. It almost felt like Ken Shamrock now, of course, he's in, you know, arguably perhaps later years of his career rather than early days, and of course it almost felt like he's been happy to be there the last 12 months. He's still been that dangerous man, but we really feel like that now something is just lit, something has just come together, and Shamrock really just feels psychotic. It just feels like we've got the Ken Shamrock of old, a real heel turn here, and I've liked it. I really liked it every step of the way. Ken Shamrock has had the, you know, the one-upsmanship when it comes to his opponent, Eddie Edwards, at Bound for Glory. Now, of course, with every turn, that means, of course, the ankle lock has been put in. Eddie Edwards was the world champion, of course, injured his leg in the process, which I think has played nicely into the ankle lock being used here time after time leading into this match. You would say that on a normal storytelling way, the heel is constantly the person who is, you know, on top here, which would mean the babyface would win at the pay-per-view. The fact that this is Ken Shamrock's weekend, the fact that he's going into the Hall of Fame, the fact that so many eyes are going to be on his side here, he's got Sami Callihan in his corner. I see Ken Shamrock winning here because Eddie Edwards, he's a company guy. He's someone, yeah, he's been world champion, but he was almost like a placeholder world champion. He's someone that can be anywhere on the card, Eddie Edwards. It doesn't harm him whether he wins, whether he loses, and this is the event here where usually I'd say the younger guys should always go over, but for this instance, I think it's the perfect thing here that Ken Shamrock picks up the victory. So my prediction for Eddie Edwards against Ken Shamrock is going to be Ken Shamrock. Moving on to our next match now, and one that Eddie Edwards actually won last year at Bound for Glory is the Call Your Shot Gauntlet match. 20 superstars, male and female, almost like a Royal Rumble match. Every minute or 2 minutes, a new superstar will enter after two start in the ring. The way to win this, of course, is to throw your opponent over the top rope. Both feet must hit the floor in a battle royal style, and the winner will be once all 19 people has been thrown over the top rope. Now, we do know that Rhino will be entering in at number 1 and Hernandez will be entering in at number 20. The key thing here is it's call your shot. So if you win this battle royal, you have the opportunity to, you know, go for the title match of your choosing when you want to call that shot. So it's going to be interesting to see who may win it, which championship will they be after. It's going to be exciting to see how this is going to play out. Now, of course, we know some of the superstars that are in this match already. Of course, Heath is obviously going to be a big component in this match, because Heath not only really is fighting for something where he could gain, maybe a championship match down the line, but he is actually fighting for his Impact contract. This is now do or die for Heath. He needs to win this, or Rhino needs to win this on Heath's behalf for Heath to get the contract that he wants. If Heath does not win this, he is no longer going to have interest in him to compete in Impact from Impact Management and Scott D'Amore. So Heath needs to win this. But of course, the other thing that is going to kind of play into this well is that if Heath or Rhino do not win it together, that means also Rhino will lose and have his contract terminated as well, and will be finished with Impact Wrestling. So this is really exciting. I'm looking forward to seeing how this match is going to play out, because there's lots of layers here. Of course, we're going to have perhaps a lot more of the arguably the lower card talents here, and the chance for one of them to elevate themselves. Maybe a knockout or two that's not managed to find her way throughout the match may find a way to get herself a Knockouts Championship opportunity somewhere down the line. It's going to be exciting to see how it's going to play out. I'm going to go, though, looking at the prediction side of things here. I do think Heath is going to walk away with his contract here, because it's Bound for Glory. It's the biggest show of the year. I just kind of feel to myself that you could drag the storyline out further. It could be interesting, really, to see if Rhino lost his as well, and maybe both of them just won't give up and finding a way, and maybe this drags out further. Yes, it's a potential to do that, but there is a small argument or counter argument here that this storyline could start to drag if this was to go on for another, say, 3 to 6 weeks, maybe even another 3 months until the next pay-per-view that Impact does put on, which is usually in January time. It's hard to kill this year, and if they left it to that long, there is possibly a chance that maybe people would lose interest in this. So I think the right time to pull the trigger for this is now. I think Heath gets his contract, perhaps a title shot, perhaps somewhere down the line as well. And what I think would be quite interesting for this, if I was to do on a fantasy booking standpoint, I would love Rhino to be the one to actually win it, because it feels like, well, the odds are against him to pick up the victory. So if he can get the contract for Heath, I think that would be a really cool thing. And then we can almost get the point where it looks like they're going to go for the tag team championships, perhaps. It's going to be the old reunion that they have, but then Heath can turn heel, turn on Rhino, and then you have this kind of, well, I used you to get me in the door, and I can do this on my own. I don't need you. I've done the tag team thing. I'm finished with that. I want to be in and around the main event. I'm here for the championship. I'm here to, put food on the table for my kids. I think that that would be a fantastic storyline to go out. So I say Heath gets his contract. I'm going to go very much out there, and I'm going to say that Rhino is going to be the one actually that will pick up the victory for the tandem. So that's my prediction for you. It's a very much outfield prediction. It almost feels like that I'm doing this thinking this is probably going to be wrong, but still I'm kind of looking forward and think this would be a great way if it was to play out. So my prediction will be Rhino, but overall my prediction is that Heath does get his contract with Impact Wrestling at Bound for Glory. Next, we're going to be talking about a match that's going to be at an undisclosed location. It's going to be EC3, a man who's been controlling his narrative, going to be taking on Moose, of course, who's brought back the TNA Heavyweight Championship. Now, of course, it's not a recognized championship, but Moose has been saying he has been the real world champion at a time during the year where we've not had an official world champion in Impact Wrestling. Moose has been the guy that's wanted to carry the torch with the TNA Heavyweight Championship. Now, I have enjoyed this feud. What I would say is there has been a slight argument that this has probably been slightly too long from pay-per-view to pay-per-view, but still, I've enjoyed the narrative. I like the direction. I love what they're doing with EC3. Overall, I think that he feels serious. He feels legitimate. He feels like he's come in with a point to prove, and I really like this and the direction that I think this could be going. Now, of course, the TNA Heavyweight Championship, as I said, has been a prop in amongst this feud. EC3 has said that he wants to come in and destroy his past. That is his narrative. He has lived of the past. He needs to destroy the past to move towards the future, have that clear conscience, and he wants to feel like he's earned it because he stole that championship and he said he was going to destroy it piece by piece. He was going to burn it to the ground, get rid of it so he could move on, and he could have done that at any time leading up here, but Moose has found a way to get this championship back in an undisclosed location. There was a bit of a brawl between these two, and Moose actually did come out on top, which at the time, I must admit, I thought to myself, I wasn't so sure this was the right booking move, but when I saw how EC3 reacted this week with his black eye, he said he was willing to wear the scars. He said he was willing to fight for this. He was bringing out the Moose that we all know is there and that we want to see. Moose is the guy that could be Mr. Impact Wrestling. He's helping Moose control his narrative, but it's within EC3's narrative that Moose is doing this, because EC3 wants to feel like that when he's won this and does this, that he's earned it. He feels that his conscience will be clear and he can move on going forward. I really think as a storyline, this has been strong. I've enjoyed it week in and week out. You could argue that perhaps with a modern day wrestling fan, that this story being dragged out this long, you could turn around and say, perhaps maybe it's felt slightly long, or it's needed maybe something extra just to keep the momentum going, because it's been so long that we haven't seen EC3 in the ring, that I do think perhaps there has been a small section of the Impact fan base that probably has lost a bit of interest. But for myself personally, I've been more intrigued by it. I mean, I don't want to really give away my age on this, but I've been a wrestling fan for decades. I've been around for a while, and I would say that for me, I like a long-term storyline. I like the way that things are, are planted in seeds and leading to that pay-per-view. And I do think overall they've done a good job here. And I think personally this has got a potential, as it's in an undisclosed location, it's going to be some form of cinematic match. I think it could be quite a nice placeholder in the pay-per-view to break things up. So I think that there's a lot of positive things for me going into this. What is the ultimate goal though? And this is where I come to slight fantasy booking into my prediction, but this is why I think EC3 is going to be your victor, because he can move on. He can destroy the TNA World Heavyweight Championship. They can burn that legacy away, which I'm sure is, some Impact Wrestling, they are obviously sometimes using TNA to bring that back for, nostalgia pops and stuff. They certainly have during this calendar year. But at the same time, perhaps they maybe want to move on from this now. And the good way to do that, EC3, burning the championship, controlling the narrative. His new narrative then could say he's earning his way to going in for the Impact World Championship. The minor thing that I do have a slight issue with this entire storyline was Scott D'Amore almost completely dismissing it, that it's almost not real. That for me was my slight disconnect with it, especially when everybody else is fully aware what's going on. Jimmy Jacobs, who was kidnapped, is fully aware that this is genuine. Josh Matthews, Madison Rayne, they're fully aware of what is going on. Scott D'Amore, perhaps he's just spending too much time in his office, but for me, that was the one small disconnect of the whole storyline for me. But I think EC3 is going to win. I think this will propel him to want to go for the Impact Championship. Whether he'll get there instantly is a different story, but I certainly think that there is a lot of interest I have in this match, and I'm looking forward to seeing how it's going to play out in the fallout. EC3 for sure for me has come back. He's an Impact player, definitely. He could be an MVP of the roster. I'm enjoying the the storytelling, the promo work, the mic work that he does is second to none. I hope the match is going to be good, as it's cinematic, it's Impact. I have quite an expectation. Impact has done great cinematic work in the past, and they're very creative when they want to be with the stuff they do. So I have a good feeling this is going to be a good match, and as I say, EC3 will be my prediction. Let's go with the X Division Championship next, then the six-way Scramble match, which I think this has been a lot of fun building this one up. Rohit Raju has been an entertaining champion, to say the very least. Now, of course, the championship has been a bit of a hot potato in the last few months, but it feels like, speaking of narratives in the last one, it's built on the narrative of this storyline going in to Bound for Glory. Now, of course, Rohit Raju has almost been one-upsmanship with a lot of these superstars. He found a way to one-up Chris Bay to win the championship to begin with. He's trying to find ways to avoid defending that championship against the likes of TJP, against Chris Bay, against Trey. And that led to his downfall at one point, because these three, he knew he had to defend against one of them. Trey managed to win a three-way, and then, of course, Rohit Raju snuck in, defended the championship straight away, managed to cheat to win and get away. His next challenger was Willie Mack, of course, which he then did the defeat Rohit challenge at. Of course, that was at Victory Road. He got himself counted out, and again, he was trying to avoid actually winning these matches, just giving opportunities, but not actually going through with them and actually getting victories. He's almost looking to escape every time he does so. Jordan Grace was the other superstar involved here. Of course, she came out and she actually won her match with Rohit, but of course he said, well, that was just a challenge. It wasn't for the title. So there was a bit of confusion in the end of there, but even the referee didn't seem to quite know what was going on. But Rohit has managed to escape with the championship, but of course, actually going against all these 5 superstars has come to bite him in the bum. Scott D'Amore had enough of this and made a scramble match for all 6 of these superstars at Bound for Glory. So I like the way this has been put together. I must admit, I kind of wish it was Ultimate X. I'm a bit nostalgic from time to time, but at the same time, a scramble match should be a lot of fun. From what I'm aware of scramble matches previously, and I'm going to that other company, WWE here, I believe that it was 2 superstars started in the ring and another superstar came down, and pinfalls could go through the whole process, and it was kind of like a time limit at the end, and the person that had the championship at the end of that time limit was the champion. So that is what my experience is with the scramble match here. I'm going to be interested to see if it'll be all 6 that just are in the ring at the same time and have a time limit, because of course you have the Gauntlet earlier in the evening. So it'll be interesting to see what Impact do for their twist of this scramble match, but I do think it's going to be a lot of fun. I did have a prediction going in before Impact Wrestling this week, which was Trey Miguel. I think that he's had a great 2020. I think he's at the right point where he should actually hold the X Division Championship, because I think he's really built up and made a believer out of a lot of people, and myself has been included in that. I still don't see him in the world title picture at this moment, but I see him as a top talent for the future, and I think the X Division and the championship, I feel like the time almost is right for him to hold that championship. So I would like that one to play out. I'm a big fan of Chris Bay and TJP as well. I think that both of them, I would be quite happy to see them as the victors. But I have this sneaky feeling, as it's a scramble match, that Rohit Raju is going to lose the belt almost instantly at the start of this match, and he's going to find a way to win it at the very end of this match. I feel he could just escape with the championship. I feel that maybe that's the way we're going to play into this. Maybe he's going to cheat to win. Maybe it's something that someone hits their big move. Let's say Trey Miguel hits his finishing move and he's thrown out of the ring just at that last second. He's going to hit the pinfall and a 3 count is put in, and then Rohit actually escapes with the championship. It almost will feel like that double cross. It'll be that natural building to that next feud. So that's what I'm going to go with, because I felt Trey Miguel was going to win this past week, but he won his match, and I feel sometimes that can be a bad omen before the show. So it's changed my prediction, it's changed my thought process, and where I was so convinced that Rohit was going to lose at this pay-per-view because any of them could win the championship, I think because all of them are so desperate for Rohit to not win this and want to obviously win it for themselves, I think they're going to leave a door open somewhere and Rohit will walk away still X Division champion. Next, let's go with a 4-way tag team championship match. We've got the Motor City Machine Guns, the champions, going to be defending against Ace Austin and Madman Fulton. We've got the North, and of course, we've got the Good Brothers. This looks like it's going to be an absolutely amazing tag team match. I like the way this has been put together. It's been a case of one-upsmanship the whole way through. It didn't matter if it was faces on faces, heels on heels, but a lot of the time it's been faces versus the heels. We've had the Good Brothers and the Machine Guns having to work together to try and take on the North, Ace Austin and Madman Fulton, who have worked together when they've needed to. But of course, there's been times where they've all turned on each other. We found ourselves in an 8-man tag team match. The North did the dirty work for Ace Austin to tag himself in and get the pinfall. We, of course, on the Go Home show, found the Good Brothers actually helping out, or the Machine Guns helping out as well. After we had the Good Brothers against the North, the ring was cleared. It looked like we were getting a handshake, and of course, the Good Brothers took out the Machine Guns. So there's lots of different dynamics and lots of different ways that this could go. If I had to predict my favourite tag team, no secret to anyone that watches this channel, is the North. I'm a big fan of the North, and I want to see them as champions again, because I still think there's some stuff for them to do. I still think there's room now for another match with them and the Good Brothers somewhere down the line. So I would like to see that. But at the same time, I still feel that the North, they had such a long run as champions. I don't see them winning the belts on this occasion. Ace Austin, Madman Fulton, I mean, they're 2 great single superstars. I like the little and big dynamic they got on the Shawn and Diesel relationship, if you want, from nostalgic point of view. But I still feel at this time that it's not the right move to put the championships on them at this particular time. I still feel Ace Austin has business that he could do towards the top end of the card with Madman Fulton in his corner. But I am happy that they are part of this tag team division right now, because it adds another layer to the division, and I think it makes the division that much stronger with them in it. And the Machine Guns, I think they've had a good run as champions, but I mean, this is the, the legend tag team if you want. I do feel it's almost like a placeholder as them as champions. I think that they should drop the belts on this particular show, in my opinion, and I think they should start making new stars in the tag team division by having great matches, but also putting the younger talent over. We're talking teams like the Rascals, we're talking teams perhaps like the Deonas if you want, Triple XL. They need to work with these people. They're a bit lower in the card, in my opinion, and help try to elevate them so they can be towards the top end of the card. Which leaves me the Good Brothers, and that's why they're going to be my prediction. Yes, they were the ones standing tall at the end of the show, and they actually asked for the championships, which I think would have actually changed my prediction. Usually is something that you don't do before you go into a pay-per-view, but they didn't do that, but they were standing tall. And for me, the Good Brothers, I'm going to be controversial. I've been disappointed by their Impact run so far, because I think they were seen as the big signing for Impact Wrestling. They were signed on the dotted line at midnight on the night of Slammiversary. They've come in, they've almost told lots of stories, got lots of fake laughs. Yes, they won a few matches here and there, but I just felt to myself that these guys, I thought they were going to come in and make a real difference. And I think that this is the show they need to start proving that for me. And I think if they win the championships here and they're seen as the big deal they're meant to be, they should win the championships here and they should carry this tag team division. So I'm going to make the prediction that the Big LG, Doc Gallows and the Machine Gun Carl Anderson, I think they're going to start repaying those big contracts, that faith that's been put in them. I think they win the championships here, and I do think now we start seeing them do more for this tag team division, because yes, Talk and Shopper Mania has been fantastic. I enjoyed the work. I enjoyed the bootleg show they had after Impact this week. I enjoyed the pay-per-view they put together, but I want to see them do more stuff in Impact. It's not about the outside projects that's investing me with them in Impact. It's what they do in Impact. So for me, I want to see results, and I want to see them as tag team champions. And perhaps then they can move on to another match with the North somewhere further down the line. Maybe the Machine Guns one-on-one. That's a great tag team match, and we can see these guys doing what they do best, and that is dominate. So for me, let's go for Gallows and Anderson. Next, let's talk about the Knockouts Championship. Deonna Purrazzo, the champion, of course, probably with Kimberly in her corner. We'll have to wait and see. Will be taking on Kylie Ray. And, of course, she has been, the number one contender now since Slammiversary. Kylie Ray winning the women's Gauntlet match that took place at that show. And she's had to be patient to get herself into the championship picture, despite being number one contender. She was in Wrestle House for a number of weeks while the Rosemary, Taya Valkyrie, and, of course, Johnny Bravo storyline was playing out. But since she's come back in, that storyline, since probably just after Emergence with Deonna Purrazzo, has really taken pace and has been arguably my favourite storyline going into this show. The Knockouts, for me, are always a standout part of the Impact roster, and this, I think, is going to be no different. The Virtuosa has been a great champion so far. She carries herself with class, with elegance, having these champagne moments and people dressing up for these black tie affairs, and she dominates when she's in the ring. Of course, the other key component of this as well is that when we look at Victory Road, she actually broke Susie's arm and, of course, made Kylie Ray watch. Now, of course, this has set a new kind of almost image for Kylie Ray since, because we see this happy, smiley, go-lucky character, and we've seen now how the emotional side, when she loses her temper, how she can just snap. And I think that really adds to an intriguing element when we get to this pay-per-view, because both of them have really sold the importance of this match this past week on Impact. So I'm excited to see what they're going to bring to the table at the pay-per-view. So let's make a prediction for you then. For me, personally, I think Deonna Purrazzo, I think she retains. She's had the championship since Slammiversary. I think there's more matches in there for her as champion. It's too soon for me to see that belt change hands here. How is this going to play out then? I think that Kimberly will be at ringside, and I do think that there will be a way where Deonna Purrazzo will find a way to escape as champion. I do think though she's going to find a way to throw that armbar in, because it's devastating, especially when both arms are in. I absolutely love that submission move. It's possibly my favourite at the moment in all of pro wrestling. But looking at it, then to make a prediction for this, I think as it's a broken arm for Susie, I think that we're going to get the alter ego, which I think in this undead realm, if you want, I think means you don't have to write her off of TV that long. I expect at the end of the match that Deonna Purrazzo will attempt to break Kylie Ray's arm, and I think Su Yung will make a return, leading for these two to go forward after Bound for Glory. So that is going to be my prediction. I think that we're going to get a face Su Yung with this Undead Bride kind of gimmick. I think Kylie Ray, it will kind of almost be like a very mismatched dynamic, but at the same time I think Kylie Ray will find a way to accept it and be fun, and it probably will lead to them having a feud perhaps 3 to 6 months down the line as well. So there's a lot of potentials of where this can go, and I think it could be a lot of fun. As I say, for this, I'm probably most excited about this match going into Bound for Glory, and I think it has the the ability to be a show stealer. But Deonna Purrazzo will be my prediction. Last but not least then, let's talk about the Impact Championship, the World Championship. Eric Young, the champion, taking on Rich Swann. Overall, I think that this has been pretty good, really, overall. I've enjoyed it. I love the fact that, of course, it started at Slammiversary. Both of them were kind of both mystery people coming into the match. Of course, Rich Swann getting the victory over Eric Young during the 5-way elimination match. Eric Young snapping, and of course, Rich Swann had just returned from a long, lengthy injury, was put on the shelf once again, was told he had to retire, which I thought was a very emotional send-off at the time. I thought it was really well played out the way they did that. The whole roster around the ringside, the fact that as Rich Swann went to do that final, goodbye at the end, Eric Young attacking him once again, making the injury seem even worse. It just felt really well put together. And of course, in the in-between time that Rich Swann was away, Eric Young became the world champion, and obviously continuously snapping at every occasion, just being the world-class maniac that he's been. Eric Young's work has been absolutely fantastic from the minute he's walked back in the door to Impact Wrestling to now. I said at the starting point when he first came back in that he needed to build his way to become champion. He did it within about 6 weeks, and do you know what? I was wrong. I think that they did the right move, the right booking move. Eric Young has been superb carrying that championship so far. I've loved everything that's been put together. But there has been a bit of a turn in this storyline for me, and I think this comes to the argument then sometimes of too long between pay-per-views. Now, of course, Rich Swann was going to come back, wasn't at 100%. It was his prerogative that he accepted this match, and he had 4 weeks to get himself back together, ready for Bound for Glory. I think that this was the last best point of this build-up, and I thought that was really well done at the time, with Eric Young being very unhappy at the prospect. We see, though, afterwards that Rich Swann was taken out another time while doing physical therapy, and I thought that when we did this point here, totally fine that they had to do it again. I thought maybe they were doing it for Eric Young to get an advantage, but Rich Swann came back and made a save once again and seems to be fully fit and fully healed again. So I kind of feel that this now has been overdone perhaps once or twice. I felt like it was done very well up until perhaps 3 or 4 weeks before the pay-per-view. Understandably, they've had to keep ways to find to keep this going, but I just feel that they've almost repeated what they've done. Perhaps could have done more to build up the hype of the return of Rich Swann and the build for this pay-per-view, rather than continually trying to put him on the shelf and then continually saying he's fully healed every 5 minutes, because every time he's put out and feels like he's going to be put out, he's recovering even quicker than the last time when the beatings are supposed to, be more. So it kind of feels like it means less each time it happens. So that's my only critique with this entire thing. But I have enjoyed the fact that Eric Young's even gone to the point that he's took out Scott D'Amore, and he said at this point now, it's because no one's listening to him. They're not taking his advice. They're not doing, he's trying to give people the easy way out, and people aren't taking it. So it's their responsibility. Rich Swann, what's going to happen to you at the pay-per-view? It's on you. It's not on Eric Young. And I like that, because this shows that we could find a way here that Eric Young will do anything to retain his championship. So into the prediction, I think Eric Young does retain his championship. I find that he finds a way to escape. He has to do something here, because he's always found a way to put Rich Swann injured and on the shelf. He needs to do a way to do it on the night, and needs to find a way we can escape from this storyline and go on to something different. I think it's too soon for him to lose the championship. He's only had it for a short time. Rich Swann has done a great job so far being in and around that main event area. I think that his storyline has overall been very, very good. His performance in it, without question, has been fantastic. I just think right now it's too soon for him to be the world champion, in my opinion. I think that perhaps if he was to lose this match, have an opportunity again in and around the main event scene for the next 3 or 4 months, he could perhaps come back in say February, March time. Maybe we can get Lockdown back on one of these Impact Plus specials or something. That would be fantastic to see. And maybe just somewhere around there, Rich Swann maybe can fulfill his destiny and become world champion. But for me, Bound for Glory is the biggest night of the year, but for me, it's a great place to build and make new stars as well. We should emphasise that. But for me, it's just too soon for Rich Swann. Eric Young retains, from my personal opinion. But that's my predictions for you there for Bound for Glory 2020. Let me know your picks in the comments below. Hope you've enjoyed the video. If you have, then please make sure to hit a thumb up. Make sure to like it. Make sure to subscribe. Maybe share it with a friend. Word of mouth goes a long way. Let them know SCW is here. And of course, let them know that Bound for Glory predictions are here on the channel. And hopefully, you've enjoyed listening to it as well. But I look forward to interacting with you in the comments. And thank you everyone that's been subscribing to the channel and has been supporting the channel. Really, really am so appreciative and thankful for everyone that has been, supporting the channel and, from day one, and also the recent additions of people that have been subscribing of late. For other videos that you can look out for as well, This Week in Wrestling, which will feature a bit of Impact Wrestling as well, make sure to check that out. That is coming this week. I was going to actually not do it this week, but wrestling's been too eventful for me. I have to do something on it. So I will be dropping a video for that on Saturday. It looks to be for this week. And of course, if you are a WWE fan, of course, Hell in a Cell predictions are available on the channel as well. But that's all for me anyway. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time here on SCW. Take care. Have yourselves a great day.